Hi everyone, I'm Nikita Pohrebniak. I'm software development manager at ImageX Media, and today I'm going to talk about performance monitoring with the Google Lighthouse. So I'm quite sure that most of you, at least once during your career, had faced with such an issue during the development phase when the pull requests were merged without noticing any major performance issues. Then the time passes by and someone notices that the page load times have been significantly increased. So the worst case scenario would be when that happens like a week or two before the release date. Something. Sorry, just a sec. And the real nightmare starts when you open the log of pull requests and you cannot find any one that could affect the performance killer because they all look quite similar and the complexity is similar as well. So that was exactly what happened on one of our projects a few years ago. It was one of those projects when where you have like lots of spinning wheels, such as the API integrations, a complex front end with a mix of Drupal theming and Vue.js framework, as well as the shopping cart and custom search integration. So in that case, the first thing that you would do is check the logs to exclude any obvious issues, and then you will move to auditing the network tab in Chrome, and finally you will work with various profilers and tools to track down and resolve the issue that that could affect this performance issue. So almost at the same time, our QA team was introducing the new standards, and they were complaining about not having a centralized tool that would allow them to test performance as a pre-launch routine. In addition to it, quite a few clients have started requesting the AA ADA compliance, which stands for Americans with Disabilities Act. And it meant that they also wanted to check the website for any accessibility issues. So our team has started analyzing the market to find the all-in-one tool that would help our QA team cover their needs. And to be honest, there are quite a few solutions available, both free and paid ones. But the Lighthouse has caught my attention the most, and I will explain why. So first of all, this is a built-in tool in the most popular browser, the Google Chrome. And not only it allows you to run the audits of a particular web page, it also gives you the opportunity to choose between different categories and the devices that you can run the audit against. So as you can see, the Lighthouse audit contains 5 key categories, and the performance, the progressive web app, best practices, accessibility, and search engine optimization. And aside from that, there is a UI element that allows you to select between the mobile or desktop device. And at the end of the audit, you receive a detailed report with explanations of what is configured properly on your project, and as well as recommendations on how to improve certain metrics. So if you look at the performance section, you can see that there are main 6 items that influence the overall score. And these items change from time to time with the new Lighthouse updates, but these are the most up-to-date ones. Like the first contentful paint, the speed index, largest contentful paint, time to interactive, total blocking time, and cumulative layout shift. You have like a short description for each item, as well as the link to learn more about how it's been measured. So at the bottom of the performance section, you will see the diagnostics and past audits subsections with lots of additional items that you should consider looking at. Let's also take a closer look at the accessibility that we were also interested in our team. And the main difference is that it has a list of additional items that you should manually check, and they don't influence the accessibility score, but you should definitely consider looking at them to maybe improve your accessibility even more. And like I said before, there is a short description for each of the items, and there is a link to learn more about a specific item. It will lead you to the official documentation. And that covered almost all of our needs in terms of conducting performance and accessibility audits on the entry level. However, that would be a time-consuming process to conduct these audits every time when a QA person tests a particular ticket. And I wish there was some way to automate this process. And it turned out that Lighthouse has a CLI support, which basically meant that you could run audits from the terminal or even within the pipelines during the build. And that's actually something, and it was very easy to use. So first you install it using npm or yarn, and then you only need to run it using the Lighthouse, then specifying a URL. And if you look at the official documentation, there is dozens of other options that you can specify. You can, for example, fine-tune your audit based on your needs and exclude any of the options or sections that you saw before, like those main 5, as well as you can run Chrome in headless mode or specify the window size. And another cool option is that you can adjust the network throttling, which means that you can emulate, for example, 3G or 4G network connection, or even make it like a very low bandwidth. That leads us to another issue that we were trying to solve in our team. What if you want to notify a lead developer if something goes wrong and you have a bad results in terms of performance? And Lighthouse allows you to select the output format of the report. You can choose between the JSON and HTML. You can see it in this example. So you just need to specify the output, and then you can select the output path where it should save this report. In addition to it, you can save all the assets from the report. And this is actually a great feature if you need to use the report somewhere else. In our case, we could parse this JSON report and fail the build, for example, if a specific metrics in performance in our case would show less than 60, let's say. And while I was looking for the additional information about how we can pass or fail the build based on the report results, I came across another interesting tool, which is called the Lighthouse CI. Basically, it's a suite of tools for using the Lighthouse during the continuous integration. You only need to write a few bash scripts and adjust the settings of the tool and configure your CI provider, such as Bitbucket pipelines, GitHub Actions, Travis CI, or other CI software of your choice to trigger the audit. After that, each time when you push the code to your repository, it can run the audit automatically and pass or fail the build based on the audit results. As you can see, there is an example of a past audit in the GitHub Actions. So that makes things much easier for the lead developers, for example, especially when it comes to finding a piece of code that caused issues with the performance or accessibility, because it will immediately indicate that, for example, your performance score has fallen significantly after a particular code change. And here is one of the results of running the Lighthouse CI. All you need to do is run the LHCI auto run. First, it checks all the configurations that you have for it. Then it runs the audits as many times as you've set. And then it provides all the results in the terminal. And like I said, it can provide the report in two formats, either HTML or JSON. So you can monitor the audit results and compare. And another tool that I came across and that comes out of the box with the Lighthouse CI is the Lighthouse CI server, which is basically a set of additional tools, and it provides you a dashboard that shows like the commits and runs of the Lighthouse CI audits, as well as it shows all the performance metrics as a charts or graph view. Aside from that, you can also compare results of different audit runs, and it will show you the difference between specific commits. That's a very convenient as well, because you can see what has changed after the last audit runs. And that was like a very good tool for us to work with and to monitor all the performance issues that could arise. And but it was not enough for us, because our QA team also wanted a way to run the audit manually, which unfortunately is not available out of the box in the Lighthouse CI or LHCI server dashboard. So we had to come up with our custom solution for that. And our team has implemented the Lighthouse audit dashboard. Basically, it runs on Node.js environment, as well as it stores reports in the MongoDB. And among the main functionalities are adding the new websites to the dashboard. You just need to specify the name and the URL. And if you have a basic HTML authentication, you can enter it in the URL as well. It's not a problem. Aside from that, you can edit the existing websites or trigger the audit run manually. And finally, you can see the audit results that you have triggered or that were triggered from the Bitbucket pipelines. And finally, you can open the particular audit, and it will show all the like the detailed report similar to what you saw in the Google Chrome tab. So combine that with the ability to trigger the audit remotely, and you have an easy to implement CI integration. And basically that's what we are currently working on, and we are trying to integrate this tool with most of our projects to give the possibility for the lead developers to track any performance or accessibility issues on the go during the development process, as well as, like I said before, it gives a convenient way for the QA team to check and review any accessibility issues when they need that. So basically that's all I had, and the Lighthouse allowed us to resolve all the issues that we had. There's obviously lots of additional tools, like I mentioned, the free and paid solutions that you can use, and especially when there are like strict requirements for your project where you need to get to a specific level of accessibility or performance, then you will have to dive deeper and use like much more advanced tools for that. But on an entry level, I would say that Lighthouse gives you a very convenient way of monitoring performance, accessibility, best practices of implementing the web project, as well as check whether there are any SEO issues on your website. That's basically all. Do you have any questions?
Yes, Nikita, we have 3 questions already in our chat. So the first one is the integration Lighthouse reports with Slack?
So you can do that not from the Lighthouse CI. Unfortunately, it does not have a built-in function, but it's easy to write a bash script that would send the report to Slack.
Okay, thank you. And the next question is, how long does it take to run and generate a report?
Yeah, well, it really depends on the sections and the items that you've selected to run the audit against. But in general, if all the sections are enabled, I would say it takes up to 2 minutes, and it will give you a big picture of the audit.
So 2 minutes, okay. And the next question is how to handle user authorization during testing via Lighthouse.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, if it's a basic authentication, you can simply add this into the URL, similar to how you open it in the browser. First, you mention your protocol, then you specify credentials, then you add sign and add the URL of your website. Any other questions?
Yep, sorry for interruption, but really interesting question. But first of all, Nikita, I just want to say great thanks about this great speech, really interesting.